Hey Rayleigh, and anyone else watching, and welcome back to A Message from Your Father. So we are looking at Genesis, and today Genesis 10 through 12. Now what we looked at before was the story of the flood and God's judgment, but also his great love for Noah and his family. So we are going to be looking at the continuation of that today in a couple different things. So if you remember Shem, Ham, and Japheth, those were the sons of Noah. And today we're going to be seeing more about their family line. So Noah's sons, or his grandsons. So we're going to be looking at that today. We are going to be looking at the Tower of Babel, and then the call of someone named Abram. And if that's not as familiar, you probably remember someone called Abraham. If you haven't yet, then this is who he used to be, Abram. So we'll see more about him too. So again, all of that in Genesis 10 through 12. And we got some names for you coming up, so I apologize when I mispronounce those. But those are all in chapter 10. So we will start right there. This is the account of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's sons, who themselves had sons after the flood, the Japhethites. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshesh, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan: Elishesh, Tarshish, the Kittim, and the Rodanim. From these the maritime people spread out into their territories by their clans within their nations, each with its own language. The sons of Ham: Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush: Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteca. The sons of Ramah: Sheba and Dedan. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who grew up to be a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria, where he built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir, Calah, and Rezin, which is in between Nineveh and Calah. That is the great city. Mizraim was the father of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Naphtuhites, Pathruzites, Calhushites, from whom the Philistines came, and the Capharatites. Canaan was the father of Sidon, his firstborn, and of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivitites, Architites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemaratites, and Hamathatites. Both the Canaanite clans scattered, and the borders of Canaan reached from Sidon towards Gerar as far as Gaza, and then towards Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, as far as Lashah. These are the sons of Ham, by their clans and languages and their territories and nations. Sons were also born to Shem, whose older brother was Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem: Elam, Asher, Arksad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram: Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshech. Arksad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, because in his time the earth was divided. His brother was named Joktan. Joktan was the father of Almodad, Shalef, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Harodam, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abiamel, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were sons of Joktan. The region where they lived stretched from Mesha towards Shafar in the eastern hill country. These are the sons of Shem by their clans and languages, in their territories and nations. These are the clans of Noah's sons according to their lines of descent within their nations. From these the nations spread out over the earth after the flood. Chapter 11. Now, the whole world had one language and a common speech. As men moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. And they said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the men were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they've begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. This is the account of Shem. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. And after he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he had become the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. And after he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the account of Terah. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans in the land of his birth. Abram and Nahor both married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren. She had no children. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law, Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. Chapter 12. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go into the land I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram left, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all the possessions that they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. At the time the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he went on towards the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and set out and called out on the name of the Lord. Then Abram set out and continued towards the Negev. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife.' Then they will kill me, but let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you." When Abram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that she was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace. He treated Abram well for her sake, and Abram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, men servants and maid servants and camels. But the Lord inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife Sarai. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. "What have you done to me?" he said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say, "She is my sister," so that I took her to be my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. Then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had. So a lot in the story that we're setting up here with Abram, so a ton is going to be connected through him. But before we get on to him, a quick note on the Tower of Babel. I always thought it was interesting that God looked at that and said, you know what? I don't want this for my creation. Whatever they try and do will be available. Nothing will be impossible for them. And I always thought that was a little weird until I looked even earlier in the story about why they're building it. And they seem to be building it for pride. Like, so we have so many buildings right now in downtown settings, right? And they are built for housing. So tons of people live in apartment complexes or condos or whatever. They are for businesses and for a bunch of people just doing their work. So that is why these are built. But then if we look again at that account, it says specifically that they are trying to reach to the heavens to make a name for themselves. It's purely based on pride. And so I think it's interesting when we see God's response, then that should tell us something about, number one, these people and some of their motivations, but number two, the danger of that pride. And I think I mentioned this before, but that's why it's so important, so incredibly important, to be focused on humility and recognizing why that is so important and why the fear of the Lord is important. And I think that humility is a little bit easier when we recognize our mistakes or recognize where we come from. It's kind of funny. I have your little baby monitor here that I watch when I'm doing this so that I can see if you're asleep, if you're awake, if you're tossing and turning. And I think it's kind of humbling because when I watch that, you're upstairs in your room and you're asleep and it's dark, and yet I can see everything that you're doing. I know where you've come from. I know all the struggles that you're going throughout while you're trying to sleep. And I think sometimes it's easy for us to forget that. I was once your age, obviously, and struggling to fall asleep and getting fussy or angry or hungry. And it reminds me where I came from. And so that's very humbling to know, I'm not on top of the world. I'm by no means perfect. But yeah, so that's why that humility is important. Anyway, that is what I took away from today. Know that I love you and I'm praying for you and that I appreciate you and your absolute blessing. All right, I will see you tomorrow. Love you. Bye.